Without going into how Albertans have access to all Crown land or pointing out one or two exceptionally underused parks, please answer why the government is considering, and this is in quotations, delisting over 150 parks and recreation areas rather than just closing them.
So we're not considering delisting over 150 some provincial parks. That is a myth that has been put forward by certain groups and by the official opposition. Unfortunately, that's just not accurate. We have identified 164 parks within the provincial park system. Those sites remain fully within the provincial park system under the Provincial Parks Act and fully funded by Alberta Environment and Parks and fully operated by Alberta Environment and Parks. But they have been identified by the department as being in areas where they are in relation either to already existing type of organizations that want to and or are already partnering with us to be able to manage those wild places, or where there could be opportunities like the Sylvan Lake example that I identified earlier. There are 17 other parks within the park system. I shouldn't say all parks. They're campgrounds and day use zones in certain areas where it makes more sense from the Alberta Environment and Parks perspective as we merge Alberta Environment and Parks into one department, that it makes more sense to be able to have them managed underneath the Public Lands Act. Now, that does not mean that those sites are unprotected or that they won't be accessible to Albertans. They will remain fully protected and fully accessible to people to be able to use them. But that's about making the right decision on the best way to manage those type of locations. It's as simple as that. There are some locations that are within that list that we've been hearing about like a 3-hour round trip of provincial park employees to be able to go and service those locations, and we have closer public lands employees to be able to go collect the money and clean the toilets and that type of stuff. So this is not about delisting parks. It's the reality is that Alberta Environment Parks is one department now. We have over a dozen land designations that we can use to be able to protect landscapes, and the department will continue to make the best choices depending on the individual location on who's best to staff them and the best way to be able to protect them and preserve them for future generations.